have Jimmy Hammond here, my husband and my traveling companion, to help us discuss some of the experiences of camping and getting back to the nitty-gritty. Thanks for joining us again.
You're welcome. Hi.
Okay, so when it comes to choosing a destination, we were saying that's the first thing that you can do. I think when it came time for us to choose going to the Cape for our destination, there was a few considerations that came into play, because we didn't just wake up one day and go, hey, we're going to the Cape. You know, it was kind of a, like, for me, I know that that's something you've always wanted to do and you've spent some time up there. Is that some of the reasons why?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I worked up there many years ago, and the place, is a very fond part of me, and I wanted to share that with my family, as well. Like, I've got a good friend of mine where since we were, I say kids, like in our early 20s, we were saying about, doing a trip up there for many years now, and it just came time that, we've said it long enough that it was just like, right, let's do it. It brought an extra element to excitement of doing it, to do it now with our families.
Yeah, definitely. So once you've made that decision, that's where you're going. Now we're putting in place all of these things that potentially we could stop at. So we're like building the weeks of what we're going to do, where we're going to go, and what it's going to look like. So I know for me, I've always wanted to go to Bramwell Station. That was an absolute bucket list item for myself, and the Lion's Den as well was a huge bucket list item for me, and probably one of the biggest highlights apart from making it to the tip. The further we got into planning, the more and more we realized there were so many places we really did want to go to. So it just built itself out of passion and excitement. So once we realized that that's where we're going, we also realized that we couldn't take our camper.
No.
So we had to completely rethink the way that we camp. This is going to be one of those things that we are absolutely cutting everything down to the absolute bare essentials.
Oh, definitely.
So then we had to have the conversation about what equipment are we traveling with?
How are we sleeping?
And how are we doing all of this? And where are we going to keep it all? And how are we going to keep everything under the right weight?
Yeah.
So what were some of the things for you that were absolute must-takes?
For myself, a stretcher bed.
Mm-hmm.
Now with my injury, how it is, floor to chair transfers is not something that I can confidently do anymore.
Yeah. So
a stretcher bed, meaning, I could transfer straight from a chair into a comfortable bed.
Yeah.
Again, my fan, my tools.
I was going to say for me, it was having my cushion, having my travel cushion, having a chair that I can sit on, but also, the pre-planning for everything. We didn't just decide to do this. We ended up spending weeks and weeks traveling to different camping places so that we could trial these stretcher mattresses and air mattresses to see if we could transfer onto them, to make sure that, they're going to be sturdy, that we can lift them. Because, when we go through and think about the people that we're taking with us, we can't expect everybody to just do everything. We have to be able to do as much of this as possible as well. So what can we lift? What can we put in and out of the trailer? What room do we have for all of this? Can we roll up an air mattress afterwards, or do we need to figure out some hacks along the way on how that's going to happen?
Definitely. I think you make a very good point, because you're not going to be able to do everything. So a lot of the times, because we were going with other people as well, yes, we can ask for help, but at the same time, it's a joint effort. I think, just because I can't necessarily do this means, okay, I'm going to do this part instead while someone does that part. For example, I can't necessarily hammer in a tent peg, so I looked into, and instead of using a hammer and tent pegs, you can get drill-in tent pegs.
With big hex bag.
Yeah, that you can use with the impact driver. So I was able to, while I'm in my power chair, run around and quickly put in all the pegs or take out all the pegs while someone else was doing the next part.
So then you feel like once you're out of the car, you're, productive, and capable, because that's probably the other thing is when you've got so many people running around you doing things, you're like, I want to do something. You don't want to feel useless.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to do the things that, you can reach, you can be capable of, and you can feel productive.
Definitely. I think as well, we put a lot of planning into the equipment that we did take, that we were going to be able to use and put research into that. Even our tents, for example, we put work into finding out, are we going to be able to set it up ourselves?
Yeah.
Do we need others to be able to do it? And, we discovered that we can do those tents ourselves.
The 30-second tent that it takes 10 minutes for us to do, but we can still do it.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
So what does your campsite look like, depending on what equipment you're running with? What is really important to you, making sure you've got those things that you can, feel comfortable, feel safe, and feel like you're able to manage your disability, as well as, accomplish the things that you really like to do while you're camping as well. Even when it comes down to for toileting, we decided that we were going to have a couple of different setups for toileting. One, because, while you're off using one area, we still have now 4 people who don't have access to a bathroom, so we needed something separate as well. So, we're trying to organize dual toileting systems that we can travel with, that's easy to set up. Trying to put a pop-up tent back together is completely impossible. I tried to do this with Jimmy, it was freaking hilarious. You okay, so choose the opposite directions. There's a 3rd circle we've got to get.
We gave up on that idea. It was just throw it in the trailer.
Yep, absolutely.
And, with camping, it's as good as it is, and, as brilliant as it is, camping at times is about roughing it, it's not going to be the easiest or the prettiest or the most comfortable, You may be in the bathroom with flies buzzing around you, but it's really
getting a bit hot and sweaty.
yeah, definitely. But, I think, especially if you're doing long trips, taking that into consideration on breaking it down. And, I know for us, when we went up the Cape, it took us, 2-3 days to get from here just to Cairns, and we stopped in Cairns for a little bit to do a reset.
And we stayed in amazing accessible accommodation, the Healthy Living Centre. That was such an amazing spot just to be able to regroup, resend everything we don't need, and then reset to leave, to really sort of head off with the absolute bare essentials.
Yeah, definitely.
So when it came to us deciding to go to the Cape, we had already done a whole heap of camping beforehand in so many different places sort of around Brisbane. But when it was time for us to choose the equipment to kind of go up north, we had to really sort of minimize what we had, make sure it was lightweight. What advice would you say for people who are maybe thinking about doing something like this?
That may not have the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have the equipment, you can either hire equipment, have a chat with your OT, just do a bit of investigating, even speak to people that may have done it. They might have, tips or tricks.
If you had a chat with your OT, they would want to know what equipment you're using at home, and then they would try to find something that's going to do that job but is also portable, may not require power, is a solution that's going to be suitable for you while you're away. It's not a long-term solution, but it's something that's going to be okay while you're on holiday.
For myself, I know, I made a little seat for the toilet that goes over the car wheel.
Yep.
I made that, but I put a little bit of research into seeing, what's something that can work and how can we modify kind of things.
Mm-hmm. So I guess there's that whole spectrum there. So, you can go to an occupational therapist, or you can go to someone like Move Mobility and hire that equipment, or you can go to the other side of things. As long as you're savvy about it, you can create equipment that is going to work for you, whether it's using a camping chair for your toileting, or if you'd like to weld something together. There's as long as you're taking that safety into consideration, that skin safety, and making sure that you're not going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you do go down that road, instead of like, just putting it into practice when you leave, do a trial run at home, like before you go camping, maybe set up camp at home and camp there for 2 days and just make sure, like everything is going as smoothly as possible.
Okay, so camping can really take you off the beaten track. That's one of the, the pros of camping, the amazing places you can find yourself. When we went up to the Cape, what was the top 3 for you?
Top 3 would be snorkeling at the Great Barrier Reef, the camaraderie of actually getting to the tip sign, and the chopper ride around the tip was absolutely phenomenal.
I'd say I loved Bramwell Station, and the night that they had there was just so much fun. You talk about camaraderie, yes, being able to get to the tip, but just everybody that you meet along the way, it's such a social experience. And the helicopter ride at the end was just chef's kiss.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about camping. Now, if that's not your style, please join us for our next episode where we're going to talk about all things glamping.